This is the shit that I'm dealing with. This is the shit that I'm going through to try to film this video. Hello, it's Haley. Welcome to another bookish video. Today, I'm going to be telling you about a little experiment I did where I picked 3 books that I have DNF'd in the past and I gave them a second chance. I did not vlog myself during this experience because I figured it would be pretty painful and a pretty negative video, and I didn't want you guys to watch just an hour of vlog footage of me being like, oh, I hate this book, I don't want to read it. Because that was a lot of what this was, but I constantly get comments saying, I'm so sad you DNF'd this book, you need to get to the ending, or you stopped reading it before the good part, like I really wish that you would finish this book, I would love your thoughts on it. So I gave into the pressure. Y'all know me, if you put one little seed in my brain, I'm gonna need to know what the ending is, and I can't just Google it, like I need to experience it. So I did end up finishing all 3 of the books that I'm going to talk about in this video. I'm going to give you my full review, tell you why I DNF'd it the first time, how it was on the second read, and my final thoughts on each book. So the first book that I decided to give a second chance in this video is When You Disappeared by John Mars. Now, John Mars is kind of a hit or miss author for me, and this one, I started out reading it the first time around because I wanted to do a full John Mars ranking video. I haven't done an author ranking video in a while because I'm realizing that once you get into like the backlist, it's really hard to get through them for some of these authors. And for John Mars, this one is where I stopped in that journey to try to make that video because I could not get past like the 60-page mark. Basically, what this book is about is this family, you know that they've undergone some kind of tragedy and that it has put a strain on the parents' marriage. I think there's 3 little kids and then the mom and the dad, and you don't know exactly what happened to them, but you get a feel that there's a lot of tension, the marriage is not in the best place, and the dad ends up going missing one morning. He doesn't show up for work and the wife is freaking out, and then you learn that he's not dead, no tragedy has taken place, and it says this on the synopsis, so it's not a spoiler. He literally just ran away from his family, like he just made himself disappear. And now we're flipping back and forth between the day that he disappeared and present day, which is I believe like 20 years after that, when he comes back and tells his wife like, hey, it's me. Remember when I disappeared? Yeah, I was just like running away from my family because I couldn't deal with the tragedy and the tension and all of that. The reason why I DNF'd this book the first time is because we're not really looking for the what here, right? In the mystery, we know what happened. We're kind of more looking for the why. It's more psychological. It's more emotional. It's more about why did this man feel that there was so much pressure, and why did he go off and do these other things that he did instead of being with his family? Why did the wife, act this way when he left? We already know what happened. Y'all, I am going to kill myself. This video is my 13th reason. And it's not even because of the books, it's because of this. Like, what is this? My apartment needs to get it together. Actually, I'm gonna fucking move is what I'm gonna do. Anyway, as I was saying, I don't really care about the why. I do whenever I care about the what, but when I already know about the what and I literally don't give a fuck about it, why would I stay tuned to hear about the why? You know what I mean? Like, I already think this man in this book who ran away from his family is a complete asshole. I don't want to give him the time of day. I don't care about him. And I don't care about his reasons for leaving his family. I just think he's a shitty person. So it was really hard for me to get invested in this book. And when I gave it a second chance, I ended up finding the audio for it. I could not find the audio on any service like Libby or Audible or anything like that, but I did end up finding it on YouTube. So if you would like to listen to this book, it is available here. I'm not sure of the legality of that, but that's how I listened to it. And I started right back from the beginning because I did DNF this like last summer or something like that. So it had been a while. I just completely started it over. And some of the thoughts that I had was that it was really boring. It was really slow to start and it was hard to get into, even on audio. And sometimes like really boring books with really flowery writing, I respond better to on audio just because it's easier to digest when somebody else is speaking it aloud and I'm hearing it rather than trying to put the words together on the page. It didn't really help in this instance for me. I also really didn't feel aligned to any one character that I could root for. So that was part of the struggle of me not feeling invested in the story. And finally, I've talked about this before, the way that John Mars writes about women and women's issues just icks me out a little bit. I really don't like how John Mars creates female characters, how he conceptualizes them, how he writes the dialogue, and the fact that he always includes very sensitive women's issues in his thrillers. I don't think he's the one who needs to be talking about rape culture. I don't think he's the one who needs to be talking about infertility. I'm sorry, but we really don't need a white man for that. Actually, you know what? I'm not sorry. Period. We do not need a white man to do that. We have plenty female authors that are doing that for us within the thriller genre and outside of it. We don't need a white man telling us about the things that he decides to speak on. And not that men can't write or be involved in women's issues, but the way that he does it just has no tact whatsoever. And it really offended me in this book. I can't lie. I'm going to spoil a part of the big final twist in this book because I think it is an issue that I need to talk about, and it's part of the reason why I rated this book the way that I did. You can skip this if it's really important to you. I'm not going to say exactly what happened. I'm just going to say the type of twist that it was. So you can definitely go read this, even though I don't recommend it, and hear what I'm about to say and feel like it's not spoiled, but it is going to be a very, very, very light spoiler. So the big twist that takes place at the end of this book, or near the end, that was kind of like a catalyst of this dude leaving, was that he thought his wife was cheating on him when his wife was raped. She was sexually assaulted. And the way that rape was turned into a miscommunication just felt really gross. Like it was trivializing the seriousness of sexual assault. Like it was turned into a cheap twist. Like it was like, oh, that's not what was happening. You were raped. Like it just felt disgusting to me. I have to be 100% honest. It felt disgusting. I didn't like anything about this book. As soon as I heard that, I was like, okay, yeah, it's confirmed, 1 star. So I ended up giving this book 1 star. Am I happy that I went back and gave it a second chance? No, it was not a great reading experience for me. Am I glad that I gave it a second read so I could warn you all to avoid it like the plague? Yes. Next, I picked up The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson, and I ended up DNFing this book the first time that I read it. Actually, I read it in this vlog that I will link up above and down below. It is a really old vlog, and it's probably very embarrassing, but it was when Cameron, my fiance, was still my boyfriend, and we did a boyfriend picks my books reading vlog, and he picked the books that I was going to read. This is one of the books that he chose, and I ended up really not liking it. It was super boring. It was hard to get into. The writing was dense, and a lot of people were mad at me for DNFing it. This is a very popular book, very loved in the thriller community, and quite a few of my friends were actually telling me that I needed to give this book a second chance. I thought, okay, maybe I'll try it on audio. Maybe that'll make it a little bit more easily digestible for me. However, upon a second read, Even though I changed up the mode in which I read the book, I was having the same thoughts. Honestly, I wanted to DNF it again at the exact same place where I DNF'd it the previous time. It is just so long and gives so much monotonous detail. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me give you the synopsis of this book if you don't know what it's about. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo follows this firm, company, the people who work at this company that manages / produces a magazine, and they're kind of doing exposés, or they have done exposés in the past of like different things. Like they're a magazine, okay? They write about stuff. And they get entangled in this mess, and this very wealthy man hears about this mess, and they're like, these people seem like good investigative journalists. They seem like they're kind of willing to get into the stuff, and he contacts the guy who runs this firm and says, will you come investigate the disappearance / death of my granddaughter? So we're following him and then his little like partner in crime, investigative girl, who is like the badass girl with the dragon tattoo. And that's really the only way that I can describe it without fully spoiling it, because the plot just gets so muddled and so confused. There's so much going on. It goes in so many different directions, and about 90% of the directions that it went in, I did not care about. I will admit the like mystery plot was intriguing and the twists were super surprising. However, I swear I only digested the bare minimum of the plot that I needed to understand to get the plot across to me, because it included so much stuff about just like politics in Sweden, politics that go on in the corporate world, stuff about the magazine, stuff about business, financial stuff, stocks and bonds. I'm like, I don't care. Why are you talking for 20 minutes about finances? This is not a finance bro podcast. This is a thriller. I did not sign up for this shit. It made the book so long. I swear you probably could have cut out half of this book and still gotten the basic plot across, and it would have been 1,000 times better, because it would have been fast paced. It would have got to the point. It would have not been so confused. It was just, it was so hard to get through. And the people that said, the payoff would be there, I get it. I get it. Like, it was a great plot twist and it had a lot to it, but do I think it was worth it? No. The mystery was really just this basic Agatha Christie style plot line that got dragged out and confused with all these other elements. And I love Agatha Christie, but if you've ever read an Agatha Christie book, they're usually around 200 to 280 pages. And this book is 600 pages. Also, the other issue that I had with this book was, again, the way that women are written. I think I just have a very low tolerance for when female characters are written without tact, because I saw that as a theme throughout every single book that I've actually DNF'd in my whole life. In The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, anytime a female character was discussed, there was something touching on her body, her revealing clothing, her sexuality, her promiscuity, like anything like that had to be stated when we were talking about women, and it just rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like it at all. So unfortunately, this book was another 1 star for me. The reason why I DNF'd this the first time was just because it felt very corporate. It was kind of boring and I couldn't get into it. I only gave it about 4 chapters, so maybe like 30 pages before I DNF'd it though. So I figured this was a good one to give another chance to, since I didn't really give it the full chance to begin with before I DNF'd it the first time. If you don't know what this book is about, this is another thriller. It is a locked door, isolated thriller mystery between these people who work in this financial stock bond investment blah 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 company, and everybody on this like team of people in this sector of the company get invited to do this like corporate bonding, team building escape room. So they all get into this elevator. They think they're going up to do the escape room, and then the elevator stalls out and they realize that this is the escape room in the elevator. But the escape room isn't just about escaping, it's about surviving, and the stakes are a lot higher. All of these company secrets come out, there's personal stuff coming out, and at the end, you know, you're trying to figure out what happened to these people along the way, who's going to survive, what have you. And once I restarted this book, I was vividly brought back to the first time around when I DNF'd it, because I'm sorry, there's just way too much corporate talk in this book. I do not care about the finances, the standing, the trading that goes on with this fictional company. I also didn't care about anyone who was trapped in the elevator, so I had nobody to root for the whole time. Now, the elevator chapters are every other chapter, and the chapters on every other chapter are like what happened before, like leading up to this thing happening. And I did care about the main character of those chapters, which I'm not going to give away because it is kind of a spoiler. I cared about her, but the rest of the people in the elevator, I just didn't care about. So I was kind of like dreading those chapters coming up. And overall, I just wanted more of the like game, puzzle, riddle aspects than the monotonous work talk. Throughout the book, I did end up getting more into it with the alternating chapters that I enjoyed. However, I did end up guessing the twist. I really liked the ending, and I'm glad that it ended like it did, but I predicted it. I mean, sometimes I like that because obviously my prediction is how I ideally would want the book to work out. So in some way I did like that, but it also just felt really, really abrupt. It was like it ended and then we saw none of the aftermath. I think this book could have really benefited by the addition of an epilogue chapter, because once I started really caring about the trajectory of the story, I feel like it just left me in the dust. However, because it did pretty much capture my attention on the second read, and because the story worked out the way that I wanted it to, I ended up giving this book 3 stars. I think it's an average thriller. I think this will really work for some people and really not work for other people. You don't need to run out and get it, but if you have it on your shelves and it sounds like something you would like, then maybe go ahead and give it a chance. So that is the summary of my journey, giving these 3 books that I had previously DNF'd another chance. Tell me in the comments, what do you think? Do you think that this worked out? What do you think this experiment result proves? To me, I think my DNFing instinct is pretty strong. You know, I gave 2 out of 3 books 1 star, and I kind of had that inkling at the time that I DNF'd it. So I think it's safe to say if I DNF books, it's gonna not be a great reading experience for me, and I'm a pretty good judge of if I'm gonna end up liking a book or not when I decide to DNF it. Do you agree? What do you think? Do you like this concept of giving a book a second chance? Would you ever give a book a second chance? Let me know down below. Also, like this video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!